Good morning. It is Friday, March 21st. And I don't know about you guys, but Aries season it's hitting like a ton of bricks. Because the sun is being ruled by Mars and that Mars is in Cancer, there's a lot coming up. Old anger is showing up. Old frustrations are showing up. Now, the retrogrades, Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde, are adding to this, of course. And we have a third quarter moon this weekend on Saturday that is closing out a cycle that began in December of 2022, so December 23rd of 2022. Quite honestly, I could go on about this story forever because it's exactly conjunct my ascendant and Mars, so it was really important in my life. So the last 27 months of this story has been incredibly challenging. But let's start with today. We have the moon is still in Sagittarius, so we're still subconsciously being ruled by that Jupiter and Gemini. Now that moon is going to square off with the stuff in Pisces, so that's Saturn, North Node, and Neptune. This is a lot of confusion. You're dealing with the conflict between people trying to keep things surface level, and information is kind of all over the place, and folks are acting a little two-faced and things like that. And that's in conflict with the intuitive nature of Pisces, those intuitive boundaries, what your subconscious, your gut is telling you is true. So really be easy with yourself today. Don't make any major decisions. We also, because Venus and Mercury retrograde are under the rays of the sun, those topics are just not clear at all right now. Now, Venus it's really close. It's only like a degree away from the sun right now. So what's happening here is it's burning off the old Venusian stories about money, relationships, friendships, your one-on-one interactions with others, your values. And in Aries, this is all about where have you maybe been giving up yourself for others, right? Where have other people been holding you back from being yourself and being who you truly are? And you're going to get some clarity on that tomorrow when the Venus goes into a conjunction with the sun. When it's in the heart of the sun, that's where we get that like clarity. The sun is shining directly on it and it's showing you everything that you need to know about it. And then when it leaves that conjunction and moves on, you can burn off the rest of those stories before we get to the other side where where Venus is out of those rays of the sun. But keep in mind that Mercury will still be in that confusing state, so conversations are still going to be iffy during that time. You're still not going to have a complete story going on. So we need to move slow about making any kind of decisions. Tomorrow, the moon will be in Capricorn, and where it will stay for the rest of the weekend. Now that means that the subconscious is going to be ruled by Saturn in Pisces. This is a little more intuitive. Where are your boundaries? Where are your responsibilities? Where are you standing your ground when it comes to emotional things and, listening to your gut and, playing some let go and let God kind of energy? What kind of boundaries do you still need to maintain in order to keep doing that? We have that third quarter moon tomorrow. The moon will be in Capricorn in a square with the sun and Venus in Aries. So this is going to be closing out this story from December of 2022 where you realized that you needed to have better boundaries. Now there was in September of 2023, you would have had a little adjustment, probably had to push someone back over a line somewhere who was testing those boundaries, particularly of the emotional kind, because this was actually during Saturn's first retrograde in Pisces. So you probably had somebody kind of test those emotional boundaries or your intuitive boundaries during that time, and you had to push them back over. And then June of last year, we had the full moon, where there was that all reveal moment. This is where you found out who doesn't like you having boundaries. This is where somebody pushed again and you pushed them back over, and they probably got mad about it. So you might see those boundaries get tested again this weekend, particularly tomorrow. This should be like the end of this story, right? This is the lessons learned. This is where either you're finding out or they're finding out about these boundaries that you have. Have you really been standing your ground on them? Are they, is there anger for you having boundaries? Had you kind of given in on them a little bit? It's a little bit of a rough energy, okay? Now, Mars in Cancer ruling the Sun, Venus, and Mercury. You're probably angry about the past. There's probably some stuff coming up about the past. I have been, yesterday and today so far, a lot of anger from the past is popping up for me. However, I'm not angry about my current situation. I'm actually really good about my current situation. I'm not like thinking back and saying, oh, I wish this had happened. I wish I had done this differently. I'm basically feeling like I'm in that situation again. Like I was angry in that situation. I was rightfully angry in those situations. And I was frustrated. I was overwhelmed. I was emotional. I was a hot mess during that time. And I'm feeling all of those emotions again, but I'm not taking them on now. Like I'm good now, right? So really think about that. If you're thinking about the past and feeling those emotions again, make sure that you're not taking them on as though you're in that situation again now. It's those thoughts are coming back up for you to process them, for you to work through them, for you to be able to do better from this point forward, right? So if you're seeing those things come back up, do your best to understand that you did what you could do in the moment. You had the best boundaries you had with the tools that you had. You had, you did the best you could with what you had. Maybe at the time you were emotionally or physically or mentally overwhelmed, and you did as good as you could with the tools that you had in that moment. So keep that in mind. Know that you're in a better space now and you can do better moving on. Those thoughts are just coming up for you to be able to process through them and see how much you've grown from that time as well. So go ahead and pull you guys some cards for the weekend. What is the energy? Was this yesterday too? Three of Swords? I think this was yesterday. Yeah, Three of Swords. There's that heartbreak, that pain, that all of that coming up, that feeling like somebody has betrayed you. And just pretty good, they probably did, right? So there is this energy of betrayal and pain. Like I said, you're probably going to have someone come and test those boundaries again. And I don't know about you guys, but I get really irritated with having to repeat myself over and over again. And if you've been repeating yourself over these last 27 months of this moon family cycle, you're probably getting real tired of it, and you're probably getting angry that you're still having to repeat yourself. It's hurtful. It feels like a betrayal when you have to tell somebody to not ignore your boundaries again after so long, right? So pay attention to that energy as it comes up, that hurt, that pain that you're feeling, and make sure that you're processing through it and seeing where you're in a better space now. What to focus on? What does the collective need to focus on? Oh, no, not the whole. That's a lot. Like a whole handful. Try again. What does the collective need to focus on? King of Swords. So you're speaking your mind. You're saying what you need to say. You're saying what you know is to be true. Swords is sometimes needs to cut people off. So if somebody's showing you that they have zero respect for your boundaries and you got to cut them off, you got to cut them off. This is the time to end that story and really make sure that you've got those good boundaries moving forward. Okay. What to avoid? Collective need to avoid this weekend. You know what? I'm going to keep them. It's two of them. 5 of Cups and 5 of Pentacles. There's going to be some reminiscing. There's no way around that with the retrogrades and the Mars and Cancer. And Cancer is very reminiscent. It's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Nostalgic. That's the word. Okay. So this 5 of Cups of that regret, right? And then the 5 of Pentacles of like that destitution, right? We want to make sure that we're acknowledging the past. We want to make sure that we are doing better moving forward. And we want to make sure that we're not like losing ourselves in the past. We want to make sure that we're not falling into a horrible depression that we can't get out of. Again, these things are coming up because it's showing us how far we've come. So let's try our best not to fall back into the sadness and the depression that maybe you felt at the time, okay? Bottom of the deck is Four of Pentacles. I'm going to keep repeating this. Move in silence. With these retrogrades, move in silence. You don't have to tell everybody everything that you're doing. Keep it to yourself. That might actually be something that shows up with these boundaries being tested here. People are people, okay? The Capricorn and then Saturn, it's not just about boundaries, it's also about responsibility. And oftentimes, your Capricorn area of life is an area where people will put far more responsibility on you than any one person can handle, right? And sometimes it's best to just put that wall up and say, no, I'm not doing that. And when they're like, well, what are you doing? Because they're always going to accuse you of being lazy. They're always going to accuse you of being lazy. It never fails. And they start doing, well, what are you doing? You don't have to tell them. They don't need to know. That's none of their business. All they need to know is that you said, no, I can't do this right now. Keep it at that, okay? Clarifiers for our Three of Swords here. Clarifiers for the Three of Swords. I'm going to be honest with Saturn is hard. Saturn is really hard. And Capricorn is really hard energy because of people don't like when you have boundaries. People expect you to just bend over backwards and do everything for them, okay? And the second that you don't, then you're called selfish or whatever. And it's hard. It's kind of against societal expectations, right? So it's really hard to have those boundaries, but it's okay too, okay? So we got a Seven of Pentacles and one more, the Devil. All right. This is like somebody else trying to control what you're growing, right? So this heartache, this betrayal, right, could have a lot to do with other people trying to control what you're doing for yourself, what you've been growing, what you've been trying to build for yourself. And you got somebody else coming in, trying to take over it, trying to pull the strings, trying to control everything you're doing. One of the biggest things about Saturn energy and Capricorn energy is there's a lot of people in this world that think they have authority over you when they don't. And we've got to make sure that we put those people back where they belong when they start trying to take control and take that authority over you. We can't let other people pull our strings. And you may have that like realization this weekend with that Sun-Venus conjunction where other people have been holding you back and keeping you from doing what you're supposed to be doing for yourself, keeping you from growing this garden, right? And this is kind of showing this weeding things out, the Seven of Pentacles. This is that where you're taking care of the garden so that it can continue to grow. We need to weed out the people that are holding us back, that are pulling our strings. Okay, let's see. Clarifiers for our King of Swords. We've got a Nine of Cups. Yep, that's it. Tell folks they're not going to mess with the Lovers. Okay. King of Swords, speaking up for yourself. Cutting people off where they need to be cut off. Making sure that you are standing your ground. You are sitting on your throne saying, nope, you're not going to come in here if you're going to ruin my stuff, right? And letting it be clear, having those conversations, saying this, I am only allowing emotional fulfillment in my space. You know, making sure that you're having those conversations. You're only allowing people in that are in alignment with that, right? So really focus on that. Make sure that you're having open, honest conversations with people. And if they're not okay with what you're saying, then they've got to go. I don't know what it is about us that we can't be grown adults and listen to each other, have open, honest conversations with each other and say, hey, this is what I need. And if the other person says, I can't give that to you, well, then we separate. We don't go any further. We leave it at that. That's what conversation is for, right? But instead, it never fails. The other person says, oh yeah, I can give that to you, knowing full well they can't. And they just screw everything up, right? Make sure you're listening to your intuition. Make sure that you're speaking up for yourself. You're standing your ground. You're being clear about what you need, what it is that is necessary for your own wish fulfillment, your own emotional fulfillment. And make sure that the people around you are accepting that. And if they're not accepting that, then they got to go, okay? Clarifiers for our Five of Cups and our Five of Pentacles. We're avoiding this depression and the falling into destitution. Let's see. We have Four of Cups and Ace of Pentacles, like Seven of Swords on the bottom. So there is like this sneakiness underlying that Piscean energy going on. Four of Cups and Ace of Pentacles. This is that distraction, right? This falling into this depression and going back into that state from the past and feeling like you're completely cast out and all of that, and going into that regret and like beating yourself up type of energy. We want to avoid that because that would be a distraction from the new beginning, okay? From this new space that we're moving into. Again, all of this stuff that is coming up right now is meant for you to process it and move forward from not moving backwards into that same situation again.